that. I'm going to go ahead. I pray everyone's had a beautiful week. The Most High. Pray everyone is refreshed. Again, as we come together today in fellowship and get our continue to get our minds right and get ourselves correct with the Most High. Pray that each one is edified. I'm going to go ahead and with a little praise and my man Zamariyah, and go ahead and Barak the Most High. Bless the Most High. Praises. 1 second here. Okay. All praises. All praises. Oh, bless Yah. Oh, Barak Yah. All praises, family. All right. All right. So we're just going to go ahead and get into it. Today I got my ashah, which is the Lashman Kodash for my wife. My ashah is going to facilitate the study today on idols. So, again, I pray everyone subdues their understanding. We're all, again, here to learn and learn about things of the Most High, and again, get ourselves together for this passing under the rod. So without further ado, I'm going to bring her on. All praises, Marasha.
Shalom, family. All right. So during a study that I attended a couple of weeks ago, one of the sisters, Oliviyah, the Most High walked her with a word speaking on idolatry, and blessed, which is blessed in Paleo Hebrew, and it just opened up my eyes, and I shared it with Myron, and it spoke volumes, and it was really something to think about. So I'm gonna go in and share that. So first, we're gonna start off with Isaiah chapter 44. We're gonna read verses 9 through 20. And I will read from the Septuagint. So it was just amazing, and it was just awesome how the Most High used her.
You said 44?
Yeah, 44.
9 through 20?
Yes, 9 through 20. How he just used her to speak, and it was just eye-opening. But anyway, I'm going to start Isaiah 44, 9 through 20, and that's speaking about how all things are vain, how the Most High speaks about that. So verse 9, Isaiah 44. But they that framed false gods did not then hearken, and they that graved images are all vain. This is what the Most High says about these things, performing their own desires, which shall not profit them. But they shall be ashamed that form a god, and all that grave worthless things, and all by whom they were made are withered. Yea, let all the deaf be gathered from among men, and let them stand together, and let them be ashamed and confounded together. For the artificer sharpens the iron, he fashions the idol with axe, and fixes it with an awl, and fashions it with the strength of his arm, and he will be hungry and weak, and will drink no water. The artificer, having chosen a piece of wood, marks it out with a rule, and fits it with glue, and makes it as a form of man, and as the beauty of a man, to set it up in the house. He cuts the wood out of the forest which Yah planted, even a pine tree, and the rain made it grow, that it might be for men to burn. And having taken part of it, he warms himself. Yea, they burn part of it, and bake loaves thereon. And of the rest they make for themselves gods, and they worship them. Half thereof he burns in the fire, and with half of it he bakes loaves excuse me, on the coals. Excuse me, I have a drink of water. I'm so sorry.
I'll read it. Verse 16. Half thereof he burns in the fire, and with half of it he bakes loaves on the coals. And having roasted flesh on it, he eats and is satisfied. And having warmed himself, he says, I am comfortable, for I have warmed myself and have seen the fire. Verse 17. And the rest he makes a graven god, and worships and prays, saying, Deliver me, for you are my God, or you are my power. Verse 18. They have no understanding to perceive, for they have been blinded so that they should not see with their eyes, nor perceive with their heart. And one has not considered in his mind, nor known in his understanding, that he has burnt up half of it in the fire, and baked loaves on the coals thereof, and has roasted and eaten flesh, and of the rest of it he has made an abomination, and they worship it. Verse 20, know you that their heart is ashes, and they err, and no one is able to deliver his soul. See, you will not say, there is a lie in my right hand. Verse 21, 22, up to
No,
22.
to 20.
Up to 20?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
that's
it's
it.
just speaking how those idols are vain and they can't do anything for us. And before I even continue, to Wada Abba for just speaking through me, the word for idol in Hebrew is pasal, Pasal. But there's few key points to bring up. So we're going to talk about one key point is how idolatry can start with our speech, which can lead to our actions. You know, it is a heart issue. So we're going to Luke chapter 6, verse 45. Luke 6:45. And it says, a good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good, and an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. But this is the one we're going to focus on. For of the abundance of the heart is the mouth speaketh. So it starts with our heart, what we focus on, what we perceive on, what we put first. And Yahweh should be first and not anything else. So if we don't keep Yahweh first and we lean on other things, that is a form of idolatry. And
So
then also, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I got a precept.
All praises.
The Ezekiel 44, Ezekiel 14.
Ezekiel 14.
It's just on the topic of idolatry. It's a hard issue, right?
Yes.
And
All
you say
praises.
which
And I'm
verse?
gonna read this out the ESV.
Which verse you say?
Ezekiel 14.
Then certain of the elders of Yasharah came. Actually, I'm gonna wait. Everybody there.
So you said Ezekiel 14, verse what?
Starting at verse 1.
Okay, verse 1.
Starting at the first word. Then certain of the elders of Yasharah came to me and sat before me, and the word of Yah came before me. Son of man, these men have taken their idols into their hearts and set the stumbling block of their iniquity before their faces. Should I indeed let myself be consulted by them? Therefore speak to them and say to them, Thus saith the Most High Yah, anyone of the house of Yasharah who takes his idols into his heart and set the stumbling block of his iniquity before his face, and yet comes to the prophet, I, the Most High, will answer him as he comes with the multitude of his idols, that I may lay hold of their hearts, they hold of the hearts of the house of Yasharah, who are all estranged from me through their idols. Therefore, verse 6, therefore say to the house of Yasharah, thus says the Most High Yah, repent and turn away from your idols, and turn away from your faces from all your abominations, from what for anyone of the house of Yasharah or of the strangers who sojourn in Yasharah, who separates himself from me, taking his idols into his heart and putting the stumbling block of his iniquity before his face, and yet comes to a prophet to consult me through him, I, the Most High, will answer him myself, and I will set my face against that man. I will make him a sign and a byword, and cut him off from the midst of my people, and he shall know that I am Yah.
All praises, all praises.
And just to land back off you, I just want to, somebody might, anyone might be saying, oh, well, why are we talking about idols, this and that, whatever. And I believe, personally, when she brought this forth, even from the study that she was on, she brought this forth. I'm looking at it in this particular climate. Us as Yasharal, coming back to our heritage, but still, being, you know, kind of overtaken with coming out of Christianity and the things that are the calamities and things of that nature that are coming upon the earth, and or just overall trials, tribulations, whatever the case may be. Again, Hasatan is so subtle, and anything can be set up as an idol. Yourself first and foremost. Um, you know, Putting trust in your trust in money or in man, or even just kind of the philosophies and things of that nature we learn in Christianity, or whatever the case may be, and just getting caught up in the fleshly nature and being impulsive in your nature, right? So it's easy to get caught up in those things and our not focus ourselves on the Most High. Because I said it a couple of weeks ago. Christianity. A lot of what we've learned in this construct has caused us to not tap into our spiritual nature, our true spiritual nature, and really focus on the terrestrial nature, the carnal nature, which gets us, jacked up. Things start as a thought in your mind, and next thing you know, you're acting it out, or you're going about it, just as our people did back in the day. And I'm sure she's going to bring that up as well. But this is what this is all about, because just because we call ourselves Hebrews or Yasharal or whatever the case may be, don't mean that we can't get caught up if we're not careful. Again, Hasatan is very subtle. So, this is why, she's bringing all of these things up, man. I believe is very pertinent, and it's very important for us to, continue to trust the Most High in everything, and not, get caught up in ourselves, or get caught up in the test or the trial or the tribulation or whatever the case may be. But again, not run away from the Most High, but run to Him. So all praise. Just want to add that.
Yes, all praises.
Hey,
And
Paul,
it's
Paul,
so
family. I'm sorry for
yes.
barking. Where's the first script you shared, sis? The first one. I didn't catch that one. I stepped away for a minute.
Oh, Isaiah 44, 9 through
Okay.
20.
All
All
right.
praise.
All right.
And then did you
Wow.
hear when Josh brought up the precept Ezekiel? Oh,
Yeah, I
it's in
caught
the
that.
chat. Okay.
I got that. Yup. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Okay.
they're in the chat. They're in the
All
chat as well.
all praises. So also, like, even like, to land back on what Myron was saying, all right, the issues, whatever's going in our lives, can become an idol, and it's so subtle. We sometimes we're so focused on it, we don't even realize that we're putting those things before Yahweh, and we just have to be careful and be mindful. And another couple of more scriptures, Matthew, and then we're gonna go on. Matthew 6:19, starting at 19 to 21. That's talking about laying up our treasures in heaven. So Matthew 6, starting at 19. Lay not up yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. Verse 21, for where your treasure is, there will your heart also. So we have to stay focused on the things of the Most High. He has to be all in our heart, so He could continue to order our steps and lead and guide, direct us. Also, Proverbs 4, verse 23. Yep, Proverbs 4, verse 23. It says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. So that's part of being mindful. Keeping our heart is part of being mindful, keeping our heart stayed on Him. All praises. Now we're going to go to Mark 4, verse 19. And
You want to share that too.
oh yeah, Mark 4, verse 19. And this is, the parable of the sower and the seeds. And this is talking about how the things of this world are issues. We can let as Myron always said, the vicissitudes of life choke the word out of us, and we can't allow that. We always have to remain spiritual, remain steadfast in the Most High, and trust Him.
Yeah, it quenches the spirit.
Yeah, it does. It not quenches our spirit, quenches the power of the Most High in us.
Yeah.
All praises. So Mark 4 verse Mark 4 verse 19. And it reads, wait. Sorry, I'm not at 4. And the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lust of other things entering in choke the word, and it becometh unfruitful. So we cannot allow the Most High, through lust of the flesh, riches, and things that this world desires, because the things of this world is not of us, is not of Yahweh, and it could choke the word out of us and make us unfruitful. And we want to be fruitful unto Yahweh. We want to be what He intended us to be, which is the light and salt of the earth. All praises. And also Isaiah 26:3, to keep our mind stayed on Him. We have to. That's how we hold on to the shalom. All praises. So now we're going to go to Exodus 14, verse 11. And this is when, of course, our people, the Most High took our people out of captivity, and they were at the Red Sea. All praises. And this is how fear. So the second point is doubt. Doubt can lead to idolatry, and could lead to you trusting in others, trusting in idols instead of trusting in the Most High. And so Exodus 14 verse 11. Okay, so this is when and they said to Marasha, because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us to carry us forth out of Egypt? So they quickly, when they saw the Egyptian, the army coming towards them, and they were just at the Red Sea, instead of just trusting, after they saw all the miracles that the Most High performed, how He took them out of Egypt and knew that He kept them and provided for them in Goshen, they did not trust that Yahweh had them no matter what. And when they saw the enemy coming for them, and they just feared and quickly just doubted the Most High and started just, basically talking against the servant of the Most High and saying, have you brought us out to let us die? Instead of knowing and praising Yah and saying, you know what, Yah, I know that you're going to save us out of this. But the Most High still delivered them, and He parted the Red Sea and allowed them to see the destruction of their enemies. All praises.
And to speak on that, I mean, even now, so again, we have these examples, but even now, I mean, and I can't speak for anybody else. I can only speak for myself. At times, in times of adversity, or things may come up. The Most High may bring you out of a situation, whatever the case may be. Maybe you need money for a bill, or whatever the case may be, and Most High brings forth a solution, a good report, whatever the case, and then some time later, a similar situation, maybe not the same thing, but a similar situation comes up, and the very first thing you do is panic, and maybe you start revisiting, familiar things that you used to do that weren't so fruitful, or whatever the case may be, and doing things that are not, are not fruitful in the sight of the Most High, or speaking certain things or acting a certain way that that are not fruitful to the Most High, and just not trusting that, okay, He's done it before, he'll do it again. So again, there's nothing new under the sun. So again, we have to just truly just learn to just, okay, here it is, here's the situation, Abba, I'm coming to you, I'm looking to you, where you've done it before, and you'll do it again. and instead of just automatically just panicking or giving ourselves over to anxiety and anxiousness, which is not going to help a thing. um, because the text tells us, Marasha told us to be, careful for and be anxious for nothing. You know what I mean? We're not supposed to be, worried about the things that the nation seek after. So, and I mean, it's easier said than done. I'm not saying it's easy to go ahead and do that. It's easier said than done. But if he says it, we can do these things. I mean, our trust is supposed to be in him, and um, at some point, as I always say, at some point, we have to discipline ourselves and say, okay, enough is enough. I'm gonna just look to the Most High. I'm gonna trust in the Most High, allow Him to speak to me so that I can go forth and say and or do um, what He would have me to do in this particular situation, instead of just panicking and going back in my flesh and being impulsive to do something that will get me into even more trouble or put me more in a hole or whatever the case may be. So I yield with that.
Yeah, so having lack of faith and having and doubt, you go back to like what our ancestors did whenever something happened while during the Exodus, right? They were going back and complaining and saying, especially with Exodus 17 verse 3, when they were thirsty, what did they do? What did they do? Exodus 3 verse 3, 17 verse 3, excuse me. What did they do? They said, and the people thirsted and there for water, and the people murmured against Marasha and said, wherefore is it that thou hast brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst? And instead of just asking the Most High, I know you're going to provide, they went back to complain. And it is easy because I know, speaking for myself, when I'm going through something, instead of just saying, okay, like Myron said, Most High, I know you've done this. You're not going to leave me or forsake me. You haven't brought me this far to let me down. Sometimes I could just start complaining about the situation, or why is this happening to me? But they were, in this instance, is as if they were longing back for the things of Egypt, right? For the things of this world. They found comfort in that instead of finding comfort in Yah and His goodness and His righteousness. And that, and we have to be careful not to do that, because it's like you're almost idolizing the things of the world instead of worshiping and trusting the one and true Elohim that spoke this world into existence, that gave us life, that breathed life into us, that made us, in His image, and He gave us power. So, it's just so easy. And so another example of having, faith, amawana, is to trust, amawana, I never, I'm trying to practice, is Deuteronomy 31:6, when they went to go look at the land, and Joshua, he gave one person gave a bad report, but Joshua was like, no, because he trusted and knew that the Most High would deliver them no matter how things may look. So Deuteronomy 31 verse 6, he just said to be strong and of good courage, fear not, nor be afraid of them, for Yahweh thy Elohim, He it is that doth go with thee. He will not fail thee nor forsake thee. So these are things that we have to rehearse, that we have to remember when we're faced with giants or adversities, that He goes before us in everything we do, as long as we continue to serve Him and worship Him in truth and spirit and keep His laws, statutes, and commandments. He will not leave us nor forsake us. And we have to remember that and rehearse that, instead of just going straight into fear and doubt and letting our flesh make us react in ways that we shouldn't. We don't want to be impulsive. All
Man,
praises. Go ahead, Chris.
no, that's good stuff right there. Because I think it might have been Trav that said it to me, but it's a covenant, it's an agreement. When you walk in your agreement, you can trust y'all gonna do His.
All praises.
All
Yep.
praise, all praise. And what's crazy, man, again, like I said, I can always speak for me, and I'm sure most people, a lot of us have gone through. I can only speak for myself, but it's crazy how when you're going through, like I said, we say we love the Most High, we praise Him, we lift up our hands and all of these things, and again, He might bring us through something more than once, You know what I mean? I mean, it's probably, not enough hands or fingers or whatever to count how many times the Most High has brought you through something or whatever the case may be. And, um, something else will come up and just completely throw you off to where it's crazy. The word, you may have an abundance of word, but all of a sudden the word is not playing a factor. The spirit ain't playing a factor anymore. You know, prayers want to diminish. And again, it's like just like our forefathers, just completely throwing the Most High away, not seeking Him, but running away from Him. The same Elohim, the same power that brought you out or brought you forth, before, and here you are in a similar situation, or maybe another situation, and that same power that brought you out, you're not seeking that same power. You're panicking, and again, all of that stuff goes out the window. And think about it, when you panic, right? What we've been taught, when you panic, I think, we talk about, say, like swimming, right? When you panic, it's like your brain just loses all function, all right? And you may know what to do, but in that moment when you panic, your brain just loses all function, and now you're forgetting everything that you knew to do, and now you're drowning or whatever the case. And that's the same thing in any case. In this case right here, you just go into panic mode and forget the word, and the word all of a sudden has no place, and again you start moving in your own, tapping into your own head and or others, and trusting in someone else, or what someone else says, or trusting in some book that some man wrote, instead of trusting in the the words of the Most High and His Spirit to lead and guide and direct you into the right way. And again, Hasatan is so subtle. We can get caught up so quickly, man, and move ourselves into a bad place, and then put ourselves in an even worse position, because it's so easy to make an idol out of something. And this is exactly what the nations do. They're so quick to make idols. They're so quick to, put someone or something on a pedestal. And, we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to always be looking to the Most High. As the text says, look to the hills from whence cometh your help, knowing that our help comes from the Most High. So, again, this is good. And I know she's going to bring up something later to kind of, basically pinpoint what I'm saying, but it can be that detrimental if we don't truly tap in. It can be very detrimental. So all praises, I yield.
So, an example for, when we allow fear, how fear can lead to idol worship, right? Like in Exodus 32, when Marasha went up to go speak to Yahweh, right? And he didn't come down. And what did our ancestors do? What did our people do? Our forefathers do? What did they do? They got scared, feared, and was like, oh, we lost Marasha. Because it was basically, instead of them worshiping Yahweh, they kind of made Moses an idol, in a way, Marasha an idol. So what happened? Because they didn't have him anymore, what did they do? They said, let's build ourselves a God and worship him, right? And what did they do? Took all their jewelry and made a golden calf and worshiped that. When faced with trials, instead of going, so that can lead, fear can lead to idol worship, can lead to idolatry if you're not careful. So we just have to be very careful. So when we're faced with trials, what do? We should go to Yah in prayer for guidance and comfort. So we can't allow things, our flesh sometimes will go to, like, I know sometimes isolation. You want to isolate yourself and just be all sad and be like, woe is me. Or you distract yourself with television or whatever it is, instead of going straight to our Father, our Elohim. Danny, you have something?
I just think that we struggle with, I always have a saying, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Right. So no matter what you're trying to do in growth, it's not going to be comfortable. So
Yes.
I typically have that mindset of you just got to figure out how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. To your point, or you will end up turning back as our forefathers did, right? To what was comfortable for them. That's what they did, right?
That's right. That's right.
What was comfortable for them is what they reverted to when they began to get uncomfortable because Moses wasn't there. So there's an art to being able to be comfortable in your uncomfortability. I equate that a little bit to when Saul with the thorn in his flesh, because y'all said, "My grace is sufficient for you. My power." I'm gonna say it my way. My power is being made perfect in your weakness, so that now you've elevated to that next level, as opposed to turning back to the idols that can't do anything for you.
Gone,
No,
gone.
yep.
Nah, and and with that, a lot of that, I believe, just again, a lot of us came out of Christianity, you know, and being what was being preached basically is when you come to the Most High, you should be in a comfortable position. You're not, you're not supposed to be sick, and if you don't have money or whatever the case may be, you're doing something wrong, or you know what I mean. So, just to your point, if we have to be okay with being uncomfortable, because there's nothing in the text that says that everything was going to be peaches and cream and cupcakes and roses. There's nothing in the text that says that. I mean, we read Sirach 2 all the time. When you come to the Most High, prepare yourself for testing. Just prepare yourself. And then I think Amashiach said, what was that? What was that? Oh man. Basically counting the costs, right? Counting the costs, because that's what it is. So you come to the Most High, know that it's gonna come with something, and then you think about it. Us be the Most High waking us up. We're in captivity, right? You're in captivity. You're not in your land. You're not where where you grew up. You've been taught someone else's culture, or a whole bunch of people's culture for that matter, and everything that you come from, that set apartness, is righteous, and there's nothing in these lands that are righteous, absolutely nothing. So you coming back to the righteous culture, the way of the Most High, the way, again, you're a small fish in a very big pond. So how in the world are you going to be comfortable? How in the world?
Especially because we're not in our true state, our original state. We're not in our land, so we have to get back to that. And y'all willing, we pass under the rod and we make it through. It's going to be totally different. But to land back off of Danny and what Myron was saying, it says in Psalm 34, what does it say? Many, verse 19, Psalm 34, verse 19. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but Yahweh will deliver him out of them all. So it's true. It's not going to be all, cupcakes and roses and, easy peasy, because we have to, because we're in captivity right now. But we just have to continue to keep serving Yah and keeping his law, statutes, and commandments, and just really not give into our flesh. Basically that's what it is, and truly keep Yah first and worship him, and don't let things come before him. Not even ourselves, because we could all become an idol to ourselves. And we have to, it's very easy without us realizing it.
See, love, bring that out, man. What you brought forth, bro?
All praise, man. Shalom.
Long. Thank you.
Are you gonna read it? Oh yes.
Yeah, bring that out, bro.
Yes, Chris.
Nah, my bad. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
I got you. Yep.
All right. Yeah. Second Chronicles 16. I'm 7. It, I think it's connected to my car. Okay, y'all should hear me now. All right, picking up at verse 7, it says, "At that time, Hananiah the seer came to Asa, king of Judah, and said to him, because you relied on the king of Syria and did not rely on Yah your Elohim, the army of the king of Syria has escaped you. Were not the Ethiopians and the Libyans a huge army with very many chariots and horsemen? Yet because you relied on Yah, he gave them into your hand. For the eyes of Yah run to and fro throughout the whole earth to give strong support to those whose heart is blameless towards him. You have done foolishly in this, for from now on you will have wars.
Mm, mm, mm.
I read something, Psalms 14, Psalms 48, the literal last sentence in it that this morning, which is interesting. We talked about this before. There's always a thread to where we all are. The literal last sentence says, he will guide us forever.
Mm.
He will guide us forever. We already know he chose a people, not a territory, right? Initially, because he knew we'd be scattered. So no matter where we are, no matter what we're going through, he will guide us forever if we're comfortable being uncomfortable long enough to get us through the valley of the shadow of death.
Mm.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah. That because it's consistent throughout the text because you know when Yah giving it to you, it's for your good. You know, you in perfect peace when your mind remains on Yah. Because a lot of times, you know, even with Yeshua, you see when as soon as he got the Spirit, it said the Spirit led him into the wilderness to be tested.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
You know, and then with Saul, for example, when he got knocked off the horse, you know, when he, on the way to Damascus, he became Paul. I mean, Paul, when he got knocked off the horse, you know, Ananias was like, man, it's the same dude that was killing us, man, because y'all told him to touch him. And he said, man, I know what he must suffer for my sake, but he gonna be an instrument of mine.
There you go.
So y'all had to get him right then too. It's consistent.
That's it. And just
and what we forget about that is, remember, how long did he spend in Arabia?
What was it, 14 years?
14 years,
14
right?
years.
14 years.
Yep. And I mean to what and to what C-Love said, you know, what did Mashiach say to Ananias? I must show him the things that he must suffer for my name's sake. And we know Mashiach learned obedience through his suffering. I must show him the things that he must suffer. So again, I always go back to that scripture in Leviticus 26. You know, acknowledging the consequences of our iniquity, right? We're in captivity. We're in the situations that we're in because of the iniquity of our forefathers. So it just is what it is. And now we you know, thanks be to the Most High, you know, he breathed upon us. We're trying to make our way back to show the Most High that we are, you know, we can be worthy vessels. And yes, it's going to be hard, but I think it would make things even harder or impossible if we give our trust over to anything else but Yah.
No, man.
You know, and again, that, you know, going back to things familiar to us because it's, you know, it's like Danny was talking about, because it's comfortable. I mean, you're only hurting. I can't even say you're just hurting yourself, because again, we see what, you know, iniquity did. It, you know, we see what iniquity did. Even when, if one person committed iniquity, it affected the, you know, the entire nation. So,
Yeah, like with
you know,
David.
right? You affect not just yourself, but you affect your family, and you affect the people, you know, the Yasharal around you, as well as the nation. So, you know, it's so important for us to not make idols of fear and of doubt and of things of ourselves. Man, this is, come on now.
Man, when you fall off, you actually affect the whole nation because
Straight
Come
up.
on.
the whole understanding, you know, love your brother as yourself. You know, if you see your brother in sin, correct them. You know, and you go to Daniel 12, it says that those basically who, you know, walk the path will shine like the sun, and those who bring many people to Yah will shine. So you know, we're not supposed to come back with the same amount of talents. So when you fall off, you affecting those who Yah had intended for you to come get to.
Mm.
Mm,
Mm.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
powerful right there.
That's those works burned up by fire.
Mm.
Con,
Right.
con. That's
You know,
exactly
another
right.
thing I think of when I think about being uncomfortable, without the discomfort, there's really no growth.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
you grow as you're through the
Come on.
learning situation that you go through.
Con. That's right.
All
Absolutely.
praises.
Absolutely.
All praises.
That's it.
All praises. Tawada, everyone. So we're going to go to now. The next point is, what did our forefathers do when faced with adversity? And we're going to go to Judith chapter 4. Okay, Judith 4. Yes.
Yeah, you done hit me with Judas.
Yep.
Um,
Judith, the
Yep.
apocrypha.
Yep, Judith. Yes.
I
So,
got this apocrypha. I always got to look at the table of contents because this one is a little bit different than the red book.
you got it?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is what, like, the opposite of what our forefathers did, like in Exodus 32, when they didn't see Masha, they feared and built a golden calf. But this is what we should be doing. Here's one good example. So Judith chapter 4, starting at the first verse, and I'm going to skip around. So it's going to be, okay, first one. Now the children of Yashrael that dwelt in Judea heard all that Hophernes, the chief captain of Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, had done to the nations, and after what manner he had spoiled all their temples and brought them to naught. Therefore they were exceedingly afraid of him and were troubled for Jerusalem, for the temple of Yahweh the Elohim. And now I'm going to skip down to verse 9. So what they did was that every man, what they do, they went to Yahweh, not to go build a calf or went back to the comforts of the world, but they went to Yahweh. It says in verse 9, then every man of Yasharal cried to Yahweh with great fervency and with great vehemency, and did they humble their souls, both they and their wives and their children and their cattle, and every stranger and hireling and their servants bought with money put sackcloth upon their loins. Thus every man and woman and the little children and the inhabitants of Yashrael fell before the temple and cast ashes upon their heads and spread out their sackcloth before the face of Yahweh. Also they put sackcloth about the altar and cried to Yahweh, the Elohim of Yashrael, all with one consent earnestly, that he would not give their children for a prey, and their wives for a spoil, and the cities of their inheritance to destruction, and the sanctuary to profanation and reproach, and for the nations to rejoice. So Yahweh heard their prayers and looked upon their afflictions, for the people fasted many days in Judea and Jerusalem before the sanctuary of Yahweh Elohim. So that's what they did. Instead of going to an idol, they went to Yahweh and cried out to him. And that's what we need to do. Another example is 2 Chronicles, verse 20. And of course, that was when the Ammonites and the Moabites and the Mennonites and Edomites came to fight against Jehoshaphat.
2 Chronicles 20.
Second Chronicles 20. Yep, 2 Chronicles 20. And the tribe of Yah used Yahazel to encourage the people. So we're going to start at 2 Chronicles 20, verse 14 to 17.
Verse 14, 17.
Yeah, 2 Chronicles 20. Okay, and it reads, 2 Chronicles 14, and upon Yahazel the son of Zechariah, the son of Benaiah, the son of Yael, the son of Matana, the Levite, and the sons of Asaph, came the spirit of Yahweh in the midst of the congregation, and he said, hearken ye all Judea, and ye inhabitants of Jerusalem, and thou king of Jehoshaphat. Thus saith Yahweh unto you, be not afraid nor dismayed by reason of this great multitude, for the battle is not yours, but Yahweh's. All praises. And And tomorrow go ye down against them. Behold, they come up by the cliff of Ziz, and ye shall find them at the end of the brook before the wilderness of Urel. Ye shall not need to fight in this battle. Set yourselves, stand ye still, and see the salvation of Yahweh with you. O Yehuda and Yerushalayim, fear not, nor be dismayed. Tomorrow go out against them, for Yahweh will be with you. All praises. So, we have to also be in a position where we're obedient too, because they have to be obedient, sensitive to the spirit, and trust Yahweh so they could follow what Most High told them to do and believe and trust in Him. So that's very important. And then from there in verse 18 to 22, we see that Yehoshaphat and the people, they went to seek Yah and to pray to Yah for a favorable result. Go
But
ahead.
guess what? But guess what they did? Stood still.
Yeah,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There it
yeah.
You know
is.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
They
what I was gonna say.
stood still, right? They
Yep.
didn't panic. They stood still, trusting
Mm-hmm.
in Yah's promises.
Yep.
Well,
So they
well,
were obedient.
well, yeah, they were obedient. That's exactly right. Because Yah was gonna do the work for them, but they had to do their part, which was stand there and look the part. Well, you know what I'm saying? If
Yep.
they didn't do that, then they wouldn't have been obedient.
Mm-hmm.
Con. That's
Yep.
it. Stand still and just be obedient.
And you
Period.
see the same thing throughout the text, because when you get to Revelation, it talk about the 1,000 year reign, and it says after the 1,000 year reign that the Gog and Magog surround the camp, and then it say fire come down from heaven and rain, and obviously we know we win. So you see Yah going before you every single solitary time when you walk with him.
All
All praises.
praises.
Man,
All praises. And the only way the Most High is going to stay with us and be with us is through being obedient to His law, statutes, commandments, right? We have to serve Him in truth and in spirit. We can't expect Him to be with us if we're not obedient.
Straight up.
We
if you're
can't.
off the
So,
if you're off the path, you're out of His
That's
mm-hmm.
it.
protection, right?
Yep, we're
Yep.
out of His
Yep.
will.
Like I say, it's a covenant. So, we got contracted terms. So if we don't hold up our end of the bargain, then the terms is broken.
If then statements, right?
Yep.
That's good right there. Like you
If
said.
then statements.
Yep. That's dope right there, man. It's a contract. If you don't hold up your end of the contract, you know what I'm saying? It becomes null and void. Why should I, as we, spoke in the study as far as, grace, that protection. Why should I protect you if you want to be out, if you want to be outside the wall, if you want to be outside of my ways, my laws, my instructions, my statutes, my judgment. You want to be outside of that. How do you expect to be protected? You can't expect to be protected. You
And
want
you
to seek
shouldn't be.
after your own things. You want to seek after what's familiar to you or what's comfortable to you. But I'm trying, the Most High, it's like I'm trying to, I have to make you, like you said, Danny, I have to make you a little bit uncomfortable in order
Yeah.
to, bring forth that good fruit. I have, just like I have to press you, just like that coal or whatever. I have to press you in order to bring forth that
Mm,
diamond, right?
mm,
That's what
mm,
it is.
mm. That coal probably doesn't feel good, but when it flips to a diamond, it's priceless.
Yes, all
Con.
praises. All praises.
They
What
gotta
is
walk you through that fire, man. That's how you turn to gold for real.
Yeah. And
That's it.
yeah, no doubt. And it's a process. Remember when they talked about that, that's why you talk about the smith a lot in the Bible, that
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
getting that gold, because you heat that gold up, right? And then the dross or the impurities go to the top, and then they will wipe it off. And they look at the gold in the thing, and if they couldn't see their reflection, they knew it still had more impurities. So until they could see their reflection, it had to keep. Then they had to stoke the fire hotter and hotter and hotter. But it was for, as was said earlier, it's for our good. It
Con.
might not feel good in the moment, but it's for your good.
Con. All praises. I think I see
Oh,
love too.
Acts
Acts
17,
17.
22 to
Yeah,
25.
Acts
Yeah.
17, 22, 25. I see love too, right? See love, you want to bring that out, man? Or you want me
You
to?
know,
Or you want
No,
me
Mara,
to
you
that's
know
read
I
big.
it?
love
That's
your
big
voice,
C
man.
love.
Oh, that's big. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, you know I love your voice, man. I love that Earl Jones. Go ahead, man. Read it.
No doubt, no doubt. All right. So Acts 17, 22 to 25. Acts 17, 22, it says, so Paul, standing in the midst of the Areopagus, said, men of Athens, I perceive that in every way you are very religious. For as I passed along and observed the objects of your worship, I found also an altar with this inscription, to the unknown God. What therefore you worship as unknown, this I proclaim to you. The power, the Elohim, who made the world and everything in it, being Adonai, or master of Shemayim, heaven, and Arataz, earth, does not live in temples made by man. All praises. Nor is he served by human hands as though he needed anything, since he himself gives to all mankind life and breath and everything. All praises. And again, you know, it's like we
And
always say, we can go house to house. We can, go outside, and because Most High ain't dwelling in these churches. He ain't dwelling in these pagan temples, man. He ain't there. He's within us.
That's
He's
right.
yeah,
within us.
and that's right. And as you look at Paul and his walk, it was important that he's living in the same circumstances that we're living in today. And just imagine, hey man, we see the same things that he's seeing today.
Yeah, they were in
Um,
captivity. They were very much so in captivity. Exactly right. More praises.
All praises. And another example of just trusting, and you're not how and not letting fear, you know,
Dictate.
dictate your behavior or force you to well, not force you, or lead you to worship something else other than the Most High. Is David and Goliath. 1 Samuel 17. We're gonna go to 1 Samuel 17, start at verse 23. And this is, when the Philistines and with Goliath, and it's at 23. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by the name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words. And Dawid heard them. And all the men of Yashua, when they saw the man, fled from him and were so afraid. And the men of Yashua said, have you seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Yashua is he come up, and it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches. Well, the point of that is they just started getting nervous and scared, right? But David, he spake to the men that stood by him, saying, this is 26, what shall be done to that man that killeth this Philistine and take away the reproach of Yashua? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living Elohim? And we're going to drop down to verse 45. Then said Dawid, when he approached Goliath, to the Philistine, thou comest to me with sword and with spear and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of Yahweh Taza Abba, the Elohim of armies of Yasharal, so Yah, Lord of hosts, whom thou hast defied. This day will Yahweh deliver thee into my hand, and I will smite thee and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistines to this day to the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, to all that all the earth may know that there is an Elohim in Yasharal. So he didn't trust in the power of man, because they tried to give David a sword and all that, but he trusted in Yahweh. He trusted in the power of our Elohim. And that's what we need to do when we're faced with adversity, not go back. We need to trust in Yah and his power. All praises.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that
we talk
boldness in
about
that
this.
spirit. That spirit just, that spirit of the Most High consumed him so much, could nothing shake him or move him. You know what I mean? He was set on doing what he had to do. Was got what the Most High put in him. All praises.
Well, just like the Mashiach said, right? Those that worship the Most High must worship Him in spirit and in truth. And that's basically what that David was doing. I mean, he was walking in the spirit. That
That's right.
boldness and that confidence, not in himself, not in the apparel, right? Not in the weapons, but his confidence was in the Most High. So in that he was walking in the Spirit, that boldness to stand before this giant and say, "Yo, man, you out of pocket. We about to handle this." You know what I mean? That boldness,
Uh,
because again, he wasn't trusting in and of himself or anything around him. He was confident that the Most High was going to go before him and fight this giant. Point blank in the period. I'm not anxious about this. I'm going out here and the Most High is going to allow me to do work. And that's it. I'm confident in that. Let your confidence, your all in all, be in the Most High.
Yeah.
Period. Your provisions,
uh,
your strength, everything is Him, not
that's
not
right.
me, not anything else. Everything is about Him. He's about to bring this forth. He's about to do this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
he was
and
so not he was so in the spirit or walked in the spirit that he was insulted.
Con.
Right. That's the thing that
That fact.
strikes me. He was insulted that they would be had in their mind an inkling that they could defeat the Israelites because of
Right.
who our power is.
That's it.
and see, I get excited because he had a different level of confidence. Not only did he say he was going to defeat him, he said, "Man, I'm going to cut your head off with your sword." That's
That's
different.
right. That's
Yeah, it
it.
is
That's
different.
gangster.
That's it. That's it.
Hey, Ron.
Whatever y'all coming with is nothing compared to the power of the Most High. Point blank
And
in the
guess
period.
and guess where he got that from? Does the word not say no weapon formed against you shall prosper?
There
All
it is.
praises.
There it
And
is.
any tongue that rises up against you in judgment, he shall condemn.
Yep.
Right? He said that's our inheritance because our righteousness, our staying on the path, is through him. So therefore, we can't, no matter where the valley of the shadow of death is, we should fear no evil when we're on the path. You should be in fear if you're off the path. How about that?
All praises. All
All praises.
praises. And one more example, it's going to be in Daniel chapter 3. Um, I don't know how to say their names in Lashawan, but it's about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right?
Call it? Yeah. Mishael, Azariah, and Hananiah. What you
Yeah.
call it?
Yeah.
What was the scriptures? 1 Samuel 17:23 to what?
To 26, then 45 to 46.
26. Okay. Then 45 to 46.
All praises. So, of course, this is when Nebuchadnezzar king had this image that he wanted everyone to worship, right? So this is Daniel chapter 3, but we're not going to worship idols. We don't do that. So
We shouldn't do it.
nope. Shadrach,
We
Meshach, and
don't do it.
Abednego, they did not. So what was the king going to do to them? He was going to throw them in a fiery furnace, and then Nebuchadnezzar had the nerve to even at the end of verse 15, he said, he prepared the furnace, and he said, "Who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands?" Right? So proud and haughty. And Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego answered and said, so at verse 16, said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "We are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our Elohim we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. But if not,
But if not,
be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up." All praises. They would not do it. They would not go against our Most High Elohim and serve any other God. They knew that he would have them either way, either if he saved them or if they perish. They know what their reward is going to be.
yeah, it is.
And that's what we
I'm
have to
on.
remember.
That's the key right there. You just
That's
said
it
it.
right there.
They
Yeah.
knew what their
Yeah.
reward was.
Calm.
Yes.
Calm. That's it.
They knew this world had nothing to offer us, but we should know what the Most High has for us, and we have to remember that we have a hope. No other nation has a hope, but we do.
God.
All praises.
Yeah. That
That's why
treasure set up
Peter.
in
That's why
heaven.
Peter tells us always be prepared to tell others of the what, the hope that you
That's
The
right.
have.
hope
The
that is
hope.
in all
That's
That's,
it.
that's
praises.
right. That's right.
Yeah, the only hope the nations got is to come through us.
That's right.
That's it,
That's right.
Yep.
man. And again, bro, like again, that's beautiful, and it's not about being haughty. Because I said it earlier, I think on your podcast some weeks back. It's not about being. It's really not about being haughty. It's not about puffing that chest out and this now whatever. Because at the end of the day, the whole creation is groaning, waiting for us to get back in our rightful position. But we understand now that we have an important work to do. We are an important people to the Most High. We are important to this whole thing. If we get back in our rightful positions, get back in good graces with the Most High, and be able to stand in that very thing that He had implemented for us to do, which is to be examples of His righteousness. You know what I mean? An extension of Him on the avatars, on the earth. You know what I mean? So it's very important for us because again, we're that banner, right? We're that banner that the other nations will see and want to worship Him. So
Yeah. If you understand, to me, if you understand the mission, haughtiness is the furthest thing from your mind. Humility
time.
is where you should. It was where you got to be, because I can't think but to be humble every time I say or we talk about what our responsibility is. It's humbling,
That's
right?
right.
Right. It's not a haughty thing per se, but it's an
Time.
humble thing, and that's why He always chose humility within people to leverage them.
All praises.
All praises.
All praises. Des, you had something? I saw you come off the mic too.
No, I was just in agreement. Was in agreement with everybody, but basically saying that about them being in the furnace, that fiery furnace and whole 9 yards. They ultimately knew their treasures are not on nothing on earth, nothing here to be given here that can match the heavenly things, the heavenly treasures that the Most High is
Mm.
going to ultimately give. You know what I mean? They was beyond all this natural things that's before them. So basically, I'm basically saying the same thing everybody else is saying. There's an agreement.
On.
And if the earthly treasures is what you want, Mashiach said, okay,
You
you
have your
have your
reward.
reward.
Yeah, and
Simple
that's
as
gonna
that.
perish.
Simple as that.
You know what I mean?
Congratulations.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Get
You
out the
have your
balloons and
reward.
the hats and the birthday
That's it.
corn.
Word. You want to share this?
Yes. So, oh, praise. I just want to share this. This was shared with us, and this is just something for us to ponder, to say, selah, to think about, just to be mindful, to be careful. When it comes to idols and idolatry, and
Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Can y'all see this? Oh, okay. All
okay,
right.
so this is something that we just should always just think about to make sure that we're not committing idolatry. What's the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning? You know, Yahweh, it should be Yahweh, not like, some people like Olivia, when she spoke, she was like, I had to repent. It could be as simple as something as simple as coffee. She's the first thing I think about is a cup of coffee. That's simple. That it seems simple, but for us it's not, because we have to be careful that, not to just that Yah should be the first and last thing we think about. And that the things of Yah, His righteousness, His covenant, His commandments. The second question, what keeps you up at night worrying? Most High told us not to worry, right? Is it going to add to our life? No, it's going to take to our life. So He told us, and it's easier said than that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, first, let me just say this. Fear, it'll creep, it'll come, but we don't stay in it. Worry, it'll come, but we don't stay in it. Sadness, hurt, it'll come. We're going to feel, but we don't stay in it. We don't allow it to dictate us. What we do is, Yah willing to shake it off and go back to Yah and just say, Yah, I need you. I'm scared. I'm upset. I'm angry. Because, it says be angry and sin not. So, yeah, we're going to be angry, but we don't allow it to dictate us. So He told us not to worry. So if we're worrying, isn't that a commandment not to worry? Right? So we just have to remember, Everything he tells us not to do or to do, that is a commandment. So what keeps you at night worrying?
So
Number two, yep. You
I
got
was,
something to say, Josh? Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna let me back.
Hmm.
Because anytime that you worry, you over worry, or you overstimulate yourself, or overthink it, you turn whatever you're stressing about into your idol.
Yes, all
That's it.
praises.
You know
That's
what I'm
Yes.
exactly
saying?
right. That's exactly what you're
And
saying.
you're submitting yourself to that situation, not submitting yourself to the Most High, who's going to fix that situation.
All
All
praises.
praises.
All praises. And the next thing, what do you turn to when you're in need? Some people turn to people, themselves, drinking, drugs, anything. So that's something to think about. The next question is, what do you talk about, dream about, and spend most of your day thinking about? It says to meditate on his word day and night. That is what the word says. All praises. And then the other question is, what can you imagine your life never being good without? We got to think about that. I know for us, it should be our life is nothing without Yahweh. We are nothing without him.
And so, again, some people might look at this and be like, oh, okay, maybe you're looking too far into it. No,
For us.
it's we have to be ever so careful. We have to remember we are in captivity. We are in our enemy's lands. We're surrounded by pagan worship. We're surrounded by this stuff. We're surrounded by all types of nonsense, right? We're surrounded by it, so we have to be ever so careful. So we look at all of this and say, I don't know, man, but this is it's really no joke because it's very subtle. Who you give who you're giving your heart to, or who you're giving your mind to, whatever. When just like Marasha just said, we're supposed to be meditating in this day and night. Speaking to our children about it. When you get up, when you lie down, when you know what I mean. I think that's in Deuteronomy 6. I mean, this is supposed to consume us, not anything else. The things of the Most High are supposed to consume us.
Yeah, and when thoughts come to try to overtake that, it's a constant thing. We have to push it out. It's gonna come, but we have to push
Mhm.
it out and ask. Go ahead, Danny.
No, I was agreeing.
Oh,
All
all
praises,
praises.
all
Nah,
praises.
praises, man.
It's going to be constant. We're going to be constantly bombarded, but we know who we are, and we know what the word says, and we just always have to use the word to subdue our flesh, to subdue these thoughts that are not of the Most High Yahweh. All praises. And the last question is, what would you fill in the blank in with when you say, all I need is dot, 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 and I'll be happy? For us, this is critical and something to ponder, to think about. All praises.
What did Malak the Wad? What did King
One
David
thing
say?
that I desire.
One thing if I desire, and that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Most High forever, to behold His beauty and inquire in His temple. That's the one thing
praises.
he says. One thing have I
And,
desired.
and what does Solomon say at the end of Ecclesiastes?
Yes, for
That's
the
right.
whole duty of man is to fear Yah and to keep his commandments. All praises, right?
That's it.
And he learned that the hard way, right?
Yes,
Yes, he
yes
did.
he did.
Absolutely.
And he had everything, right? Like as far
Everything.
as the world, as far not only did he have Yahweh, but he had all these worldly things. And that is all vanity.
And that's
Oh
what
man.
it's crazy because that is I know we mentioned certain verses in Ecclesiastes and things like that, but to really think about that, okay, this is someone who, of course, he wasn't thinking upon these things, and he didn't ask the Most High for these things, these riches and all of that stuff. When he just asked the Most High for wisdom, of course, to govern, the people, right, to watch over the people, because he knew they're not his people. You know what I mean? They ain't his subjects. These are the Most High's people. I just need to be a shepherd over these people, and to be able to, have wisdom to govern over them. And we know, of course, he fell. He fell, and it caused the whole nation to be split, and just chaos ensued. However, but at the end of his life, he's writing these things in the Wisdom of Solomon and in Ecclesiastes and the Psalms of Solomon. He's writing these things, and he says that all of these things is what? Vain.
Nothing.
They're empty.
Yeah, when
All
you
empty.
when you chase the world and catch it, you figure that out.
Hmm.
I learned that the hard way, right? You chase
So did I.
the world, you'll get the world, and then you'll
Yep.
realize I'm more empty than I ever was, right?
Con.
And
Con.
Solomon kind of slow dripped the thing because y'all told him, don't store up for yourself horses and chariots and things of that nature. So he started down that road,
That's
right?
right.
Then we know all the wives he had. And at first he probably told them, no, you can't bring that in the house. And then over time, it slipped and slipped all the way till now when y'all had to strip it, he realizes all that stuff was worthless,
Hmm.
right? It's a
Hmm.
vapor, it's a mist, it's gone today. And now he instructs us, don't do what I did, right? Just love
Right.
Yah and obey his commands. That's the whole duty of man.
Con. Con.
Right.
What's
What
And
it
crazy
it
say
about
as
it is
far
also
as
that
oh,
whole story tells a parable for all of us because even though Solomon reached the heights, I mean, he was in communication with Yah. He had wisdom, he had wealth, he had everything. So if he can succumb, so can we, right?
Well,
absolutely.
so he
And,
started off. He started off as this be in the world, but not of the world. He started off not of the world and ended up
right.
well, I mean, reversed it at the end. But then
Hmm.
he moved to the things of the world, which is why Marsha's talking about this. That slippery slope that
Mm-hmm.
can happen, and before you know it, you wake up and you don't even recognize yourself anymore.
You don't even recognize it. And
Mm.
see, that was in the biggest part for Solomon was he was given wisdom. And the best thing he told us was at the end of his journey, he gave us wisdom. He gave us the ultimate wisdom.
That's right. I'm on.
That's right. That's right. Fear the Most High, keep
Keep
the
us.
commandments of this our whole
And
duty.
see,
And no, again, no, and Danny, I'm reminded of I mean, the testimony you gave the one time. Of course, being in the NFL, getting drafted, and things of that nature.
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember you said something about the whole 3-a-days, and anybody who doesn't know 3-a-days are, 3 practices, and I think you were in Tampa at the time, three
Yeah.
practices a day,
Absolutely.
what I mean, in that heat, and and sitting in the locker room, and this is something that you had kind of wanted to do, that you had built yourself up to do, and here it is, the dream comes, you're drafted to the NFL, blah blah blah, and you're doing these things, and you sat in the locker room, was like, yo, like basically this wasn't your the fulfillment that you thought it was going to be,
Well,
right?
it's
Am I
actually even deeper than that in the sense that it was the first game of the year, my first game playing in NFL, playing against, at that point in time, the San Francisco 49ers with Jerry Rice and all them. And I caught 8 passes and a touchdown. And when I caught the touchdown, I got to the bench and name flashing in the lights. And literally, that's when it hit me. This ain't it.
Mm,
Right? What I
mm,
thought would fulfill me. Actually, that's why I made that comment a little bit earlier. I was more empty than ever at that point in time because of the disappointment in my brain that I thought this was going to make me whole, but I'm not whole. And I just was sitting on the bench thinking, I don't know what else I can do to get there.
right.
Right. And that was a bad journey that took a lot of winding roads, but all praise to Yah. I'm on this call today.
Nah, praise.
All
Nah,
praises.
I mentioned that because again, I have a similar testimony to wherein, anybody that knows me knows that I was in the music business, and again, music was always a, a huge passion in my life. I mean, from the time I was probably maybe 2 years old, and I had always worked to get to that point where get signed and travel and do all these things, and it that happened. I'm sitting in offices, with these big names, and working with all of these people, people that I was kind of looked up to in the music business, and got to that point, got to what I thought was the pinnacle, and I think it was it was crazy similar to your story, did this concert in Manhattan, over there on Park Avenue, and you know it's packed, the streets is packed, things like that. People screaming our name, da 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 da. You know, we had this entourage, all of these things. And I remember that evening, I think there was a party or whatever the case may be. That evening, I'm sitting in the back, and you know, with all of this commotion going on, and I'm sitting there, like, you know, and I remember people coming up to me like, "Yo, Myra, why you sitting in the back, man? You're not enjoying the." And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, yo, and I remember being really scared because I was at the point where like, yo, this is not it. Like, I don't feel like I don't feel fulfilled. Like, this ain't it. And I was scared because I'm like, okay, I worked all my life to get to this point. Blah 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 blah. I'm here. I'm doing this. I got all these people that I kind of admired, and all these people around us in the same room and talking, kicking with these people, making some money, da 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 da. And you know, I was scared because I'm like, okay, if this ain't it, I'm not fulfilled. Like, I still feel empty. Then what is it? Like, what is it? So you know, it's almost like, you know, that's similar to, you know, with Solomon, man, having everything and all of these things, and now you get to the end, and like, man, this is all vanity. Ain't nothing to go back to.
I'm on.
There's nothing to go back to. This whole place, this construct is empty. Life for us doesn't begin until we are really with the Most High. You know what I mean? That life for us is in the Most High, and life for us doesn't really begin until we're truly with the Most High. But to seek anything else outside of Him is nothing but vanity, and you will get nothing but disappointment. You may not get it now, but eventually it's coming.
Yeah, I not just me, but a lot of people. I played with three guys, and I don't want to macabre us out. I played with three guys who were at the top of the mountaintop, and all three of them committed suicide while in the NFL. I mean, that's the emptiness that if you have a revelation that everything I thought I wanted is not here.
Right.
Luckily, I didn't go down that road. I went down a whole lot of other roads, just, you know what I mean, doing other stuff. But the bottom line is I played with three guys that I would have never imagined that took their lives in my first 3 years of playing in NFL in the
Right.
off season. Because you get in the off season, it's quiet. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right? Nobody's around the whole shebang. And so that being in an empty place, to your point, Myron, is not a fun experience
No,
for
it is
sure.
not. Does not feel good at all. At all. But thanks, like you said, thanks be to the Most High. We're here sitting in fellowship, and trying to get, trying to stay on the right path.
Come on.
How y'all know y'all had a greater purpose though, man? Because it's hard when you look at Solomon, for example, man. That's hard when you get tested with the whole world. That's the same exact test that Yeshua got tested with. You know, he said, "Man, just bow down and praise me. I'll give you everything." You
Right.
know, when something in you just ain't happy with that, you know, that's that call, man.
Con.
Yeah, no doubt
And,
about that.
and we have to be careful with the power. And one of the things that we see in that story is Saul. Remember, Saul was anointed, and Saul got a specific amount of power, and he abused it. And
Yeah.
not only
No.
did he go against
Yeah, he disobeyed
everything,
God.
he started putting up idols and everything else. So you get it.
His sight was short. You know what I mean? Couldn't see past what was in front of him. That's why he
Yeah.
fell to that extent. His eyes wasn't beyond the natural. You know, like let's say King David and you know, Solomon at the end, so on and so forth. So Mashiach, when he got showed the whole world through Hasatan, he seen beyond it. He knew he had a bigger purpose. There's a bigger plan laid out for him in the Most High. He seen beyond this. His treasure again. Treasure wasn't laid up, heaped up on earth, but in the Shayim. You know what I'm saying? So, in the end of the day, that's what it's about. You know what I mean? If your treasures laid up here on this earth, you're gonna fall victim to that all day long and stay in
And
that,
think
unfortunately.
and think about Abraham in the book of Jasher. Like Abraham's pops was Nimrod's right hand man,
Yep.
That's right.
right? Right. And Abraham forsook everything for Yah, right? Including his potentially his own life, right? Because if you look at Jasher, he got the same fiery furnace that the three Hebrew boys,
That's right.
right, did. But then Yah told him to walk. Didn't know where he was going, but he started walking. So he chose. He early on forsook the world for the walk with Yah.
Mm. Yep. Con. Because you brought that up. It, again, anything can become an idol. Family members, this and that, whatever. Because I mean, there's been some that have left the way because the way they were being. I guess they felt they were being ostracized with family and things like nature. Oh, I can't. Then my family don't want to deal with me anymore, this and that, whatever. So and people can't deal with that. They honestly can't deal with that. It's the truth. You know what I mean? They can't deal with these things. I mean, they can't deal with, Danny said earlier, they can't deal with being uncomfortable. No one wants to be uncomfortable. And that's when you get, if you're not good with being uncomfortable, if you're not good with hearing hard truths and things like that, you will get yourself jacked up. You
Yeah.
honestly will.
Yeah.
And
Anything can become an idol.
I love Yahweh when he said, "Who are my mother and my
The
brothers?
bro- I was
There
just
it
about to tell
is.
you.
Yep.
Those that do the will of my Father."
That's
Right?
right.
Don't get me wrong. I love my family, like my
That's right.
extended family, but
That's right.
not anybody in this world gonna knock me off my post from that perspective because I have I'm gonna say it the way Yahweh said. I have sheep you know not of. I'm not calling y'all sheep. I have family you know not of.
Right.
These people on this phone are family to me, right?
That's right.
All
Like the
praises.
That's right.
people that come to here when we study, that's family to me, right?
Yes.
And
Exactly
more
right.
than blood, for lack of. Well, we got the right kind of blood, the blood of the Mashiach.
That's right.
Woo!
That's right.
And we blood for real anyway.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly
That's
Yep.
right.
true. That
Yep.
That's
What you
exactly
say,
right.
Daddy?
The
If you
bloodline.
don't say it, the rocks will say it.
if I don't, if that's right, if y'all don't praise me, the rocks will cry out. That's we just looked at
Right.
that other.
And I'm glad you said that. It's not that we push our our immediate families and extended families. It's not
Mm-mm.
that we are pushing them away. Not at all. Not even a little bit. Because at the end of the day, we're all Yasharal, right? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I can't forego the way of righteousness because we may not be seeing eye to eye. I have to go the way of Yah. You know what I mean?
Come
I
on.
can't go backwards. I can't get caught up in the worldly things. I have to go the way of Yah. And as I always say, um, the truth doesn't need anyone's agreement. It's the truth.
Mm-mm.
So whether you agree with it or not, you know what I mean? It's the truth, and I'm walking in the truth. Period.
Right.
And
Yeah.
And that
good.
that family, that family that um you speak of, they're always watching you, even if they don't agree or if they kind of
Come
seem to
on.
That's right.
reject you. They're not rejecting you, first of all, they're rejecting the Most High. And
That's
number two,
right.
All
they're always
praises.
watching. They were always watching, even if you think they're not, and always
That's
listening.
right. Ah,
All praises. That's why we
You
always have
shall
to.
you shall be a witness. Right.
that's
All
it.
praises.
Whether you know it or not, your walk is the witness to any and everybody,
That's right.
especially your family, because they know you, they know who you were and who you are.
There it
Yep.
is.
Yep.
There it is. There it is. Exactly right.
And it's very important. And just like our brother Phil, our late brother Phil, used to always ask, and we have to ask ourselves to keep us from idolatry: is Yah enough?
Yep.
Yah has to be enough for us
In
I'm
every
on.
in
situation.
everything.
I'm on.
And this is something that we have to just continue. It's a continual process. We got to continue to examine ourselves. Whether it says examine yourself, whether you're in the faith or not, examine ourselves to make sure that we are serving Yah the way He wants us to serve Him. All praises. And there's a way that seems right unto a man, right? We can't. We have to go by but that leads to death. We don't want that. We do not want that. All praises. So, Tawada, and I just want to thank Tawada to Abba Yah for using Sister Olivia to bring this word forth, and it just have me to think about things that I may have. I'm not gonna lie, I was giving it, putting it before Yahweh, and I praise Yah for the correction. Praise Yah, he corrects those he loves. All praises. So I have to take that as that he loves me enough to correct me and not let me perish. Yeah, and I'm so grateful for that. So just to leave off, I'm going to put it in the chat for you guys to read because it's kind of lengthy, but there's a prayer in First Chronicles chapter 16, verse 8 through 36 that Dawad, he prayed praising the Most High when they got the Ark of the Covenant back. And in that prayer, of course, he's praising the Most High, and he's remembering, just like how our forefather used to rehearse and remember what the Most High did for us. So, like, we always have to remember, if we're in such a situation, we have to go back and remember, like, you know what, Most High, you got me out of this. You protected me from this. So you're gonna do the same. So that's something that we always have to remember. So it's for First Chronicles. Put in the chat. 16, okay. Verse 8 through 36. All praises.
And to add to what you're saying, and not just remember what he did for us, but remember what he did for our forefathers.
Yes.
Again, they're our forefathers. So just like how you brought them out,
Yes.
you brought us out. We have to again put ourselves there because we are these people. We are these people. These are all testimonies. Like I said, I never call them stories. These are all testimonies, and they apply to us.
All praises. And our life is a testimony, right? Because that we're going through. This is something that y'all won't be able to live to tell the future, right? And it says in the word that Yah is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He changes not. We have to remember that. So if he did it for our
go ahead and
forefathers,
say it again. Say it again.
All praises. So Tawada for taking the time, and any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free.
No, First Chronicles 6. I'm doing this off the top of my head, but what I think I love about that is when they got that ark back. Remember, David was dancing, and his wife said, "How undignified you look." Right, right. And he said, "I'll dance my clothes off." Right. Before I don't praise him for bringing this ark back. And then her time was drew nigh right at that point in time. Honestly.
Right. That's right. That's right. And wasn't she barren? The Most High made her barren, right?
Yep. 100%.
For speaking against him. Yep. Yeah.
So the moral of that is sometimes you need to keep your mouth closed.
Keep your mouth closed.
Mouth closed. Right. No weapon formed against you. Right. Shall prosper. And every tongue that rises up against you in condemnation,
he shall condemn.
Judgment, he shall condemn. There it is. So all praises. All praises. So thank the Most High for Marasha,
and Olivia,
and Sister Olivia as well, who brought this forth. With them, just thank the Most High for just edification. Thank the Most High, how He continues to just pour out upon us, so that we can, be worthy vessels before Him. So all praise to the Most High. Any parting shots, questions, comments, concerns? Anyone have?
All right, we got halftime, then we got the next one coming up.
Yeah, no doubt. no doubt. That's right. Got Chris and Trav coming up.
Chris and Trav ready too, though, boy. They ready, though. You know what I mean?
I know they are.
Today, but I already know what he on.
They get ready to bring the word, man.
Hey, I ain't even talked to Trav yet today, but I already know what he on over there.
Okay.
So I call Chris and Trav fire and ice, and I know y'all know which one is fire and which one is ice.
They get ready to get that. I just stopped by to tell you the story today. Go ahead, Chris.
I got a couple of more I gotta get off my chest.
Don't join if you ain't ready. If you're weak, don't join. That's what
if you're weak,
Stay at home.
Hey, what they say?
God,
I don't speak, man. Y'all speak. You know what I'm saying?
that's it.
I
That's
know
it.
that
All
feeling.
praises. All praises, man. All
That's how
praises,
Daddy
man.
was
So,
on Sunday, man. He was, man. He just,
Y'all leave me
man.
alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. All right, Myron, go ahead on, brother.
yep. So we got the pod coming on at 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific time. And then tomorrow, of course, Danny, we got study with Danny as well.
Yep.
And I just want to leave y'all with this prayer, so we can turn ourselves to the east as we close out. And I just want to leave y'all with this prayer. It's a prayer of Aaron, number 6, 24 to 26, real short. Number 6, 24 to 26, and thanks be the Most High. Just studying. I'm going to speak it in the Lashawan Kodash, the set apart tongue, um, for those who know, and then of course I'll bring forth the translation. But this is number 6, excuse me, 24 to 26. It says, Yabarakad Yahweh Wayashamarad, Ya'ar Yahweh Panayawa Alayad Wayachanad, Yasha'ah Yahweh Panayawa Alayad Wayasham Lad Shalawam. And it says, Yahweh barak you, or bless you and keep you. Yahweh make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. So all praises. Again, Abba, we just thank you for this time in fellowship. And we thank you for all that has transpired. And we pray that every word of our mouth and meditation of our heart has been acceptable in your sight, Father. Pray out that you just continue to strengthen us where we are weak and prop us up on every leaning side, Father. We just continue to pray for your people here and everywhere. Again, that they will just hear your voice, Abba, and want to walk as worthy vessels before you, Father, to bring forth your praises, Abba. And again, as you remember your covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Abba, again, we pray that you will make us to know you and make us to know your precepts, that we are found worthy to stand before you and worthy to be hidden in the day of tribulation. Father, we give you praise, honor, and glory in your most holy name, and for Mashiach, Yahweh Shai, Oliviyah, Wa'aman.
Hey, Myron, you talking about being in one in spirit? I'm gonna read this. I did this, what you just did a little while ago,
Uh,
the Aaronic prayer, and I did
uh,
it I broke it down as it would probably be heard as Yahweh will kneel before you, presenting gifts, and will
mm,
guard you with a hedge of protection.
mm,
Yahweh will illuminate his presence towards you, bringing order, and he will give you comfort and sustenance. Yahweh
mm,
will lift up his presence and look upon you, and he will set in place all you need to be whole and complete.
mm. Wow.
All praises.
All praises. All praises. Yeah, because when you break down the Lashawan, when you break down the language, that's really what it's saying. Because, a lot of things have been lost in translation, right? You know this. A lot of things have been lost in translation. I mean, the scripts, the scrolls have been translated, what? From,
Oh, yeah.
from
Yeah.
Hebrew to Aramaic, then Aramaic to what? A Greek, then
Greek.
Greek to Latin, then Latin to English.
That's
So a
right.
lot of things have been lost. So thank you for that breakdown of the language itself. And I just wanted to speak the language, and thank you for the breakdown. So look how the Most High worked that, man. That's a beautiful thing.
Well, that's crafty. We've been talking about this for a long time. That's crafty counsel. There's a reason why we have to go back and reconstruct how our ancestors would have heard it, because that makes more of an impact, right? We know from Wisdom of Solomon Prologue, it said, what about Hebrew? You know, there,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, about the fact
Yep.
of
About
you
the,
can't,
No
yes,
small difference. It's a
no
large
small
difference.
difference, a large
yep.
difference. So how it's written and how we should hear it are two different ways, and we just do the work to pull that back together so we can hear it as Yah would have intended for us to hear it.
Khan.
Uh,
All praise, man. Tawada Rabah for that, man, for being in the spirit. And again, Tawada Rabah, we're grateful for everybody being on and, just, chiming in. And again, man, let's just continue to grow together so that we can, you know, hope Most High will and successfully pass under that rod. Each and every day, Most High gives us. This is what we doing. So all praise, family. Love y'all, family. Shalom, shalom.
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 Nah, I'm love, y'all. Later on.